Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the WPF Delta Division Draft Analysis. If you guys are unfamiliar with the WPF or the Delta Division, well, go ahead, look in the description, join the WPF, otherwise known as the World Pokemon Federation. I believe it is the largest draft league, Pokemon Draft League server. It's either that or Smogon Draft, Smog Tours, whatever it's called. But I think WPF is a little bigger, but nonetheless, the Delta Division is the Wi-Fi division. So I'm very happy to be in this. The competition to get into a Wi-Fi division like this in the biggest draft league, is very stiff. Obviously, there's a lot of applicants. So I'm very happy. Big shout out to Gentleman Thomas and Zom, the two moderators of the Delta Division. But without further ado, I'll stop glazing WPF now. We can hop right into the draft analysis. I'm really happy with this team. As you can see on the thumbnail, the first two Pokemon are a little, spoiled, but we're still going to go over them just because, it's a draft analysis. I'm legally obligated to do this. If I don't, they'll actually kidnap my entire family. So, it is what it is. But just to lay out some ground rules for you guys. This is a standard snake style draft, which means, there's 16 coaches, who are all linked in the description, so please go subscribe to all of them. If you're a returning viewer on my channel, I'm going to be playing at least half of these guys, so make sure you go show them some love before we hop into the draft analysis. It only, it's free, only takes a few seconds to subscribe, and it means the world to us content creators. Anyways, it is a standard snake style, so it's 1 through 16, and then when it comes back, it's 16 through 1 on odd to even rounds. Draft orders are, of course, randomized, and we had 110 points to draft 9 to 11 Pokemon on our team. We are limited to two Terra Captains that total up to 30 points, and it's a free Terra, but Terra Preview. And basically, WPF uses the Terra Attack system, if you're unfamiliar with that. Basically, you'll have a Pokemon. Let's go with just Infernape. Infernape you usually expect maybe around the 11, the 12, the 13 point tier. If you want to Terra him, typically you got to pay a few more points. It might be 14, it might be 15 for Infernape. So basically, it means instead of having while you still have the 30 point total for the Terra Captains, you pay extra points out of your normal budget to, get a Pokemon with Terastallization, which I think it is honestly the best way to do it nowadays. We've been playing Gen 9 for over 2 years, and I just think it's the best way. So after, we were pick number 5? No, 3. All right, I already forgot, man. We were pick number 3, so we were pretty high up. So definitely we could get one of the top tier threats in Paldea decks, and without further ado, let's show exactly what I got. So the first Pokemon we picked up was Dragapult. The two Pokemon that went before me, the one I really wanted to try was Terra Tornadus Therian, which I'm actually looking at it, and Grum did not Terra Torn for some reason, but that's a personal decision. And then Great Tusk went second. So naturally, I had to get the best Pokemon in draft, Dragapult. It is 19 points, so quite pricey, but that people would pay 30 points for Dragapult. Now to some non-draft league, maybe non-super competitive Pokemon, even Dragapult on ladder is pretty good, but he's nothing like insane. It's mainly the speed that makes him. Well, it's mostly the same in draft league. 142 speed is just a monstrous speed. And unless they've got something super fast on their side, you can typically not be forced to run boosting speed natures. But you may be looking, well, Dragapult, he's not very bulky. 120 attack is pretty good, but his Ghost Stab is, what is it? Phantom Force? And, Dragon Darts is great, but and then so you're relying on the 100 special attack, which really isn't that great in Gen 9. Yes, but Dragapult has so much versatility, and me personally, I'm a person. Yep. I'm someone that loves drafting versatility in Pokemon. I do not like Pokemon that do the same thing every week, that run the same 4 moves, because it has no other viable set. I love versatility, and that's Dragapult in a Pokemon. Alright, he loves Choice Scarf sets to just outspeed everything. Choice Band, Choice Specs, all 3 choice items he likes. Some others, you've got like Hexpult, which is, you know, he gets access to Will-O-Wisp and Thunder Wave, 2 really good status moves that pair nicely with the move Hex, which gets 2 times boosted if the Pokemon you are attacking is status. He's a really good screens user because, once again, he outspeeds most of the metagame, so he can effectively get up a screen before anything attacks him. I think those are really the main ones. You can also, I mean, just run him like fully physically defensive or specially defensive based on the matchup. And Dragon Ghost is just an insanely good typing. If you guys have ever used Giratina, you know how good it is. He also has 3 great abilities: Clear Body, Infiltrator, and Curse Body. Curse Body not as good as the other 2, but it can still be used. Clear Body, basically, if I want to run some sort of Choice Band or Dragon Dance set, he can, or they can't lower my attack with something like an Intimidate Pokemon, which is really great. Then Infiltrator, just going through, like, having to fight screens and then just ignoring them, it's so nice. And also being able to go through Reflect, or not Reflect, Substitute, because there are a lot of Pokemon that really like Sub in Gen 9, I feel like. So just being able to go through that and completely ignore it is also another great ability. Mainly Clear Body, Infiltrator, Curse Body. If like you really don't need Clear Body and you're really sure they're not running Infiltrator, you can run Curse Body and you know, gamble. But yeah, that's Dragapult. A little bit of a lengthy analysis on him, but I'm just trying to, if you're new to Draft League, trying to explain to you why this Pokemon is so good. So without further ado, it was quite a while before our next pick, but this is what we ended up picking up. Next up, we got Terra Urshifu Rapid for 18 points. He's originally, let me check actually. He's originally 16 points with his brother Urshifu Single, but Urshifu Rapid is 1 less Terra point, so you pay 2 extra, which honestly is pretty good. I am not a huge fan of Urshifu Rapid without Terra, because I think he just kind of gets fucked by Rocky Helmet plus bulky water types. But with the Terra, I could Terra Electric, Terra Grass, beat those bulky waters, and then what's left to take Surging Strikes, you know what I mean? But Urshifu, another Gen 8 Pokemon. As you saw on the thumbnail, you know, I'm gonna put like Gen 8 Dynamic Duo or something like that. I've got so many ideas swirling in my head. But Urshifu, he's got a whopping 130 attack. He's got very good, respectable physical defense, not great special defense, and 97 speed. You know, if he was a few points faster, this Pokemon would definitely be banned. But he loves being Choice Scarf, gets access to Trailblaze in Gen 9, which is so nice, as well as Sword Stance. But Urshifu Rapid, I mean, he just hits really hard. A move that can always crit will always make a Pokemon viable. Except, isn't there like Zing Zap? Doesn't that always crit on like Togedemaru? But alright. Most Pokemon with crit, unless that's a Rad Red thing, you know. Anyways, but just look at Meowscarada, great Pokemon. But Urshifu, he's just a very good physical wall breaker, can also clean. You gotta watch out for Choice Band, Choice Scarf, Trailblaze SD sets. He's got a lot of good items he likes to run, a lot of different coverage moves. He's got like the Elemental Punches, for example. I think he gets access to Iron Head to get through Fairies. So he's just a really good Pokemon. And with Terra, I think I can make him really good. Especially later down the draft, you'll see I've got some stuff that definitely pairs well with Urshifu Rapid. But yeah, I mean, he's just a really good physical attacking Pokemon. So without further ado, let's get into the third Pokemon. So the third Pokemon is the first returning member from the Castelia Dynasty League, the league me and Soulblaze ran. Fortunately, Soulblaze is in this league as well, so I'm gonna have to whoop his ass again in another league. So, you know, it is what it is for him. You know, playing Soulblaze for me is like, you know, another day in the job. Not to be a humble king or anything, but anyways, we got Clefable. Clefable has been power crept a bit in Gen 9, but I think for 13 points, it's pretty good. Usually I see it at about like 14 or 15, so it's a little bit of a steal, nothing crazy. But Clefable is the Pokemon that turns Okos into 2-hit KOs and 2-hit KOs and 3-hit KOs. It sounds really weird, but use Clefable and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's weird. Clefable doesn't have a stat over 100, but don't let that fool you because Mono Fairy is fantastic. And especially since it gets access to 2 of the best abilities in the game, Unaware, which I think is the stocks have gone up in Gen 9 drastically because of how much setup there is, and like there's just a shit ton of setup in Gen 9. Very offensive metagame. And then Magic Guard is also very good. You are only damaged by direct attacks. If you're unfamiliar, because that's a little vague, say I were to use the Life Orb, which damages you each time I use an attack, I still get the boost, but I don't take the damage. Say I want to come in on Stealth Rocks, I don't take the damage. Say they Toxic me, I don't take the damage. So it's also a really good ability. And Clefable just, gets access. It's usually going to be, a bulky support mon on this team, but, every once in a while you can whip out the Calm Mind. Gets a ton of coverage moves, gets a ton of, status, like Wish, Healing Wish, that sort of stuff. And it's just a great Pokemon. Really wanted a defensive backbone to pair with Urshifu and Dragapult, as they are not the tankiest of guys. Granted, Pult can set up screens, but I don't want to be running that every week. But yeah, Clefable, I mean, it's a good defensive wall. You can wall most things in the game other than, like, I don't know, a super strong Steel type. But yeah, for 13 points, I think it was a pretty good value, and top into our 4th Pokemon. Our 4th Pokemon is one I have not used in I think almost a year. I used him in a showdown league called the Coliseum, and I had his brother Scizor and Kleavor on the same team, and it was a funny team. It was funny. But Scizor is a great Pokemon. Technician Bullet Punch is fantastic off that 130 attack. Gets access to like Sword Stance. Fortunately, Scizor did lose Roost, which is part of why I picked up Clefable, who can give Wish support to Scizor to somewhat make up the Roost. He also gets Defog still, which, I mean, Defog Scizor isn't the most viable of things, to be honest. Like, you don't want to be using your Scizor to remove hazards most of the time. But if we're against, like, I don't know, Glamora, Tinglu, we might need to whip out the Defog, because that might be a little too many hazards for my guys. He's got pretty slow U-turn, which is always, great for Urshifu Rapid. Just slow pivots, getting that guy in to be able to click Surging Strikes as much as possible is great. And then, I mean, Bug Steel is a great type. We've got, a guy further down the line who also pairs well with Scizor. Like I mentioned, Urshifu Rapid pairs well with both of them nicely. I will cover that once we get there. But Scizor is just a great Pokemon. 13 points, pretty standard points for him. But he's got a lot of different viable items and moves he likes to run. I'll definitely be running Swarm all the time to throw my opponents off. Technician, overrated ability, man. Come on. Without further ado, the 5th Pokemon is upon us. And the 5th Pokemon is another GOAT of the Sootopolis Psyducks. This guy landed 4 Focus Blasts in a row for me. I actually almost spoiled my MBBL week 4. I'll just say some Focus Blasts were involved in that battle, because this will go up before then. But Thundurus Therian. This guy hits like a goddamn Freightliner. Alright, that 145 special attack goes crazy. We do not have Terra on him this time like we did in the EDC. For some reason, I decided to draft 3 13-pointers in a row, which looks a little weird, but nonetheless, Thundurus Therian, he outspeeds all the base 100s, which is really nice. Loves Choice Scarf, loves Choice Specs, loves Agility, Nasty Plot. I think Will said he ran Bulk Up, and, I kind of laughed. And then I also remembered he said he hadn't won a game in that league yet, so, the two go hand in hand. But Thundurus, mainly here to be a wall breaker. Get rid of those special threats. That complements well with our next Pokemon after, because they can kind of be used in synchronization. One can wall break and the other can clean, or my next Pokemon can wall break and this guy can clean. They go hand in hand together. But yeah, Thundurus just hits really hard. He's pretty fast. That's pretty much it. Let's move on to the 6th Pokemon. So the 6th Pokemon is Azelf. We did also give Azelf Terra. It was only one more point to give it, and I thought, you know, if there's a matchup where they really don't like taking psychic attacks, or Urshifu, you know, for some reason doesn't need Terra or dies early and can't get the Terra off, Azelf's a great backup option. This Pokemon is likely going to be more special on this team, and its special sets are usually a bit better, but we could run physical possibly. Azelf, if you miss 2 out of the 3 mystical powers that I click again, like you did in the PDL, I might drop you. I might drop you for one of your sisters. Mesprit, Uxie, if they're available, you might be getting dropped, buddy. Just a fair warning now. But anyways, we have another electric flying immunity, which, you know, it's ground immunity. We have another ground immunity. We have the levitate ability, which, you know, you can't have too many of. Azelf, you know, as you can see on this team, all 6 of the Pokemon I've drafted currently have a way of pivoting out. Fable, I believe, gets Baton Pass. That's really good. Azelf can be used as a cleaner with, like, mystical power. If you are unaware of what mystical power does, because I know it is a new Gen 9, I think they updated it. It is a 70 base power, 90% accurate move that boosts your special attack every time it lands. So it's a really good move. Azelf gets like all the coverage you ever need in the world. It's just, you know, it hits hard. Yeah. It can also be a great lead. Stealth Rock Explosion Azelf is also great. Focus Sash to ensure you get them Rockies up. But yeah, let's move on to the 7th Pokemon. The 7th Pokemon we got is a Pokemon I've been wanting to try out for a long time. He's another Gen 5 goat, Crocodile. He's got 2 great abilities, Intimidate and Moxie. Intimidate lowers their attack by 1 stage, and Moxie boosts my attack by 1 stage if I get a kill. And Crocodile's stats at a glance seem okay, nothing crazy. But Ground Dark is an excellent typing. Imagine Ting Lu, but instead of living every hit, he does 80% everything with knockoff. But Crocodile can be a really good bulky pivot, knocking off items, setting up stealth rocks, get fast taunt Pokemon, which I really love. He also can be used as a sweeper with like a Choice Scarf and Moxie. You know, if I pick up a kill, I'm going to be faster than most things with the Choice Scarf, and now I have the +1 boost from the Moxie, so, you know, he can snowball out of hand a lot of times. So my opponents have to watch out for that. And, I mean, he just hits pretty hard. He's got quite a good amount of coverage. Just knock off an Earthquake is really good. 2 of the best moves in the game, I'd argue. Yeah, so after this, I drafted quite top heavy. We went 19, 18, 13, 13, 13, 12, 12. And we have to draft at least 2 more Pokemon. So we're gonna have to dip into the low tiers a little bit. But I've got just the Pokemon coming up. Next up, we've got Grafaiai. All right, my team, a Poison and a Normal is really good. Considering I don't have the best, well, I'm gonna tell you, my last Pokemon is not a Hazard Remover. Scizor is not great, so I wanted a Poison type in case, you know, somebody went T-Spikes, because they are okay into me. They're not the greatest, because, like, Thundurus and Azelf don't get affected. Neither does Scizor. Clefable can be Magic Guard, but you never know. Grafaiai is a really interesting Mon. I don't think I've ever used him, actually, but I've seen him used a lot. He's got pretty much 2 sets he likes to run. Prankster, Annoying, you know, if you guys have ever used Sableye before, think of that. So he gets stuff like Encore and Thunder Wave and stuff, Toxic. Or you can do an Unburdened set. He's really fast already, so likely it's like Unburdened Sword Stance, and, you know, I could possibly use, like, say if someone has Indeedee or Rillaboom, I could use their terrain, get the Unburdened boost, get a Sword Stance up, and he actually does quite a lot of damage after a Sword Stance. Like, them gunk shots be hurting. But that's Grafaiai. He was 4 points, you know, he's nothing crazy. He's just here to maybe absorb a T-Spike. He also has Prankster Parting Shot. I should say that as well. Really great. He's a good Pokemon, you know. If this guy comes in, absorbs a T-Spike, gets a Parting Shot, maybe an Encore, and dies, I'm happy. I'm happy with the value he got that match. But moving on to our ninth and final Pokemon, this guy I think really is like the little cherry on top of the cake of my team. It's so synergistically well with a lot of members of my team. This is what it is. We've got Politoed. He's such a silly guy. Politoed was 6 points, but he sets the rain. You may be thinking, well, I don't have a rain team, you know? Where's my Archaludon? Where's my Floatzel? Where's my Barraskewda? It's a little more subtle. First off, my round 2 pick, Urshifu Rapid. There's not many things that can switch into a Choice Band, Terra Water, in the Rain Surging Strikes in this game, unless you've got a Water Absorb on. Even Resists are taken 50%. Second off, Scizor, quad weak to fire. We set the rain up, he's only 2 times weak to fire. Pair that with an Alka Berry, he's eating fire attacks for breakfast. Third off, Thunderous Therian gets access to, he's an electric type, so he gets access to Thunder. And that guy clicking Thunder, there's not many switches. Unless you got a ground type available, that guy is killing Pokemon. So those are the 3 main ones. A Dragapult, I think, and Clefable also get access to Surf, so I mean, that gets boosted, but that's quite niche. But it's mainly those 3. I think having the option to set up Rain for my team, and having to prep for that is sometimes scarier than me even bringing the rain, because Urshifu Rapid, like, you just have to find something that doesn't just get one tapped in the rain by that guy. Not even Choice Band, I could just run Choice Scarf and outspeed a bunch of things. But Politoed himself, he's a pretty good Pokemon. He's quite the special wall. Gets access to, you know, I think he gets Earth Power, Surf, Ice Beam, all you really need. Ice Beam, Earth Power, Mamoswine coverage, boom, chakalaka. Unless you're facing a Bronzong, the GOAT. Gets access to Hypnosis, which I skillfully dodged in PMPL last season. GOAT Clawitzer. But Politoed's here to set the rain. I think he gets Encore as well. It's not very fast, but, you know, if I can predict it. I could also bring him with Water Absorb if I really need to. Say I'm facing like a Walking Wake or like a Quacklevolt or something. Could be really nice, you know, to soak up those water hits. Maybe run like Max Pedef. I'm not going to leak my strats too much because I am the GOAT. But yeah, that's the team. We've got Dragapult, Terrabolizing, Urshifu Rapid, Clefable, Scizor, Thunderous Therian, Terrabolizing, Azelf, Crocodile, Grafai, and Politoed. Very happy with how this team ended up. Very excited to use it. It's quite top heavy, but I think I drafted well for top heavy, even though there's a lot of good lower tier Pokemon you can get. But yeah, that is my WPF draft analysis. I recorded this all in one go, so it's probably really scuffed, but I think it adds to the funny, and I'm a man of the funny. I hope you guys enjoyed. Week 1 should be exactly a week after, the next Friday, after this is uploaded. So I hope you guys are there for that. We take on Tai. It was a pretty bulky, pretty scary team. They have my Urshifu counterpart and Urshifu single, so that will be interesting. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope to see you guys in week 1 of the WPF. I'm really stoked to start using this team battling. And I hope you guys join along with me for the ride. Bye-bye.